that up, right?
I know how to do it, but then it's also like we all just want to touch and feel and be around each other and collaborate. So it's
okay, well, that'll get you sued.
Yeah.
Just giving you a heads up. You may
but
have forgotten some things.
Projects have to be like so specific. Like it was very hard to come up with the concept that's gripping enough that we don't have an unlimited budget that we can light every single room of the house. And, you know, the actor, I mean, it's a lot of work as an actor to have to do all of this stuff, then hop in and be your character and hop back out and do that. And you're in and out, in and out. I don't know how a method actor would even be able to do that, but I think it would be a very cool thing, but it was a very much of a challenge of coming up with an idea that we could do that with.
Dystopia tonight. Dystopia tonight.
Hey, good evening.
Hi.
Hi guys. Thanks for having me.
How are you guys?
Good. How are you?
Good. How are you guys? So do you guys live next to, like, close to each other? Like, what, are you far away? Like, what's the situation here? How close are you guys?
Do I tell the story?
Yeah, tell a story.
Well, okay. So what's interesting is we're California girls that, you know, we're not from California, but we lived in California for many, many years, working in the entertainment industry.
Who is from California, honestly? That state is not, it's all transplants. There's nobody from there anymore.
And she's still in California, and I'm in my pandemic hideout over here in North Carolina. So, nice. Being close to the family.
Yeah.
But yeah, that's where we are in the world.
Yeah, for half a second, you almost fooled me with that virtual background because I was like, damn, she is living it up.
Do you like my grand piano?
I was going to say grand piano. Beautiful fireplace. It's always daylight over there, apparently, wherever you are. That was nice.
All day long.
Yeah, fucking awesome. So that's cool. So you guys knew each other beforehand then?
Yeah, we knew each other beforehand. And then when doing this project, it was in the middle of the pandemic, which was December 2020.
Yeah.
So that was like the height of it. People were like staying in their pods. There was no such thing as a vaccine. It was like the height of it for sure. Right. And I was living in Europe at the time. And we were like, let's do something, like let's create something. Let's work. Let's get some people some jobs. Let's do something interesting and fun. And so we did all this remotely, virtually, and it was really cool putting it all together.
Did you guys meet through the industry?
Yeah.
Oh, cool. That's awesome.
No, we did not.
We did it.
I was going to say, I don't think that's what I read, but I'll go with it. Maybe, you know.
It is not at all what happened.
Okay, go for it.
I was an apartment manager, and I moved her in after she'd just broken up with her fiance and was like bawling to me. Like, I hadn't been very long. I just had gotten the job, and then she came and I was like, I felt so sorry for her, and
blocking that out.
Man. And then we became really good friends from that. And then we produced our first short film together. And
nice.
That was that. So we've known each other for quite a while.
That's why I get jealous. This is why I'm jealous of women and their friendships sometimes. Because like literally, she didn't even know who you were, and she came in crying to you about her fiance shit. Like, guys, if I went in to get an apartment and there was some dude working behind the counter, and I was like, dude, guy, man, I can't. Like, he'd be like, get the fuck out of my apartment. Like, you were unstable and not allowed to stay here.
But it's funny because I don't remember the story that way clearly, as I'm like, that's not how we met. Because I try to block that part out a little bit. How embarrassing, right? You know?
No, that's cool to know that you opened up and she let you in, and that was great. That was fucking awesome. And now you guys are BFFs.
Totally.
I have this weird thing where people open up to me. Like, I have a lot of crazy stories where, like, when I would get like headshots back in the day and they do airbrushing, and I remember this woman like opening up the door and just started like confiding in me, and I'm like, so it happens a lot. It's really weird, but I'm a good listener, and you know, not everybody's like that.
I know, I understand. I feel like good listeners are people who like seem approachable. Like, people can just tell right away. Like, no matter where I am, if I'm in the gym or a fucking supermarket or like, people will just start talking, and I'm like, what do I have to do? Like, I literally look like the dude who gave Jenny AIDS in Forrest Gump at this point, and people still come up to me and they're like, "Can I confide in you?" I'm like, "No, you can't. We're at a traffic light right now. My window just happens to be down. This isn't the time."
It's hilarious.
It's weird.
So yeah, but there's
I get
women
it.
like you too. So don't be jealous. And it's not great. Like it takes up all you're listening to these people's crap. Like
Yeah,
it's not
absolutely.
it's not fun.
And but not that she's calling your situation crap, by the way. It was a blessing in disguise. I love that you were just like, she opened up to me, and then like 2 seconds later, you're like, yeah, and you're listening to this bullshit crazy talk from people you don't even know. Holy shit. No, that's really cool though. I like what you guys. So
Oh my God.
what was it? This wasn't the first project that you worked on together then?
No, we our first one was a short that we did actually that I'd written about being an apartment manager. And
nice.
it was all like real stuff. And so we did that. And then we've worked on a lot of stuff together since then.
As in Kevin as well.
Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
right.
Spin-off. Go for it, Summer.
You edited part of the Karma of Happiness. You did that.
Mm-hmm. So we've worked on a ton of projects together.
That's really cool. Yeah, it shows you guys work well together because it seems like there's a lot of like fun being had in the pillow talk thing. I mean, how could it not be? But
yeah.
So who was the one who like how did you guys wind up coming and deciding on pandemic pillow talk? Like why was this the theme you wanted to go with?
Well, the series is a spinoff from a short film I did called As in Kevin, which was about online dating, like normal online dating. And during this point in the pandemic, a lot of the indie productions had been shut down completely. And the only things that were being shot were stuff that people could film in their pods, which was pretty hard to come up with a unique idea to do that. And then you have to have enough gear. Either it's one household, or if you're doing multiple, you have to have a lot of gear. So then it costs money. And so people had been trying to come up with ideas and telling me to come up with something. And then one of our associates came up and said, well, why don't you do, because she knows I love comedy, and said, why don't you do something about dating? And I was like, ooh, I could just do a spinoff from As in Kevin and take the character Mackenzie and bring her into online dating during the pandemic. And then did a lot of research on what people were encountering online dating now during the pandemic, and then incorporating like all the different kind of Zoom things that we were all learning about our backgrounds, you know, the hands disappearing in the background, like the chair, and the people who can't figure out how to hang up, or the mute button and you're still talking.
Those are my favorite people. I'm still that hang up person when I get really awkward. I'm like, yep, see you later. The fuck? How do I?
Yeah, it's so weird. It's so awkward.
It's really, really awful because everybody has a real dumb face when they're doing it too.
Yeah.
Down there. So when you are all in one of these virtual meetings and everybody signs off, and usually you sign off, but somebody leaves it on, isn't it like a portal into the other person's life where I'm like, I don't want to watch this, but now I'm gonna watch this?
Totally.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So weird.
It was cool. Like some of the research I did, I was watching a lot of kids and what they were going through in their classes, because they were all like, you know, you'd have like trolls that were coming in and all working out that of the waiting room.
Yeah.
And one chick like apparently was in her class, and then she decided to go to the bathroom, and she carried her phone with her and left everything on.
Yeah.
And was in the bathroom, and then she like put the phone up next to her, was like squatting, and then her friends were like, Stephanie! And, she was like, and like, so everybody saw it. So I was like, oh my gosh, we've got it. So I try to incorporate a lot of that stuff in there because we can all relate to that, I think. We
had a couple guests who I'm not even sure that they accidentally did it. I just don't think they gave a fuck. Like there, you know, like there's a lot of old people mentality that carries over into new technology that I kind of find adorable, because not only do they not care about like etiquette in their, you know what I mean? It's like when your grandfather like overly flirts with the waitress and you're like, for the love of God, this is in 1925. Please don't say that shit to her. She has our food. And then but we had guests on, someone's cat threw up and he was like, hang on, the cat threw up. And he just got up and like was cleaning throw up, puke, and still telling the story that he was talking about. They were like just watching this in real time. Another dude, I'm getting a idea of what this is. It's mostly men. But like another dude, like in the middle of what he was saying, and realized he had to readjust his pants, which, why do you have to readjust your pants when you're fucking sitting? Like, how are they like, in what kind of pant world do you live in where you're just sitting and you're like, oh, there they go. Like, I have no idea. But he like stood up on camera and was like, let me just fix my pants. And you were just like, all right, I guess this is what we're doing. So fucking unbelievable, right? But it's just it's a weird thing. But you guys captured that really, really well.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Are those a lot of those real experiences, or did you kind of play around and make shit up?
Like the mom is based on a lot of real experiences from my real mother. She's not full on that intrusive if you've watched any of the episodes yet. But she like came up with the idea that this brilliant idea that she figured out who the man for me to marry is and like set it all up. And then it was Chris Evans. And she's like, have you heard about him before? And I'm like, yeah, it's Captain America. And she's like, yeah, okay, great. Well, you just got to email him and blah, blah, blah. And then does like a 30-minute monologue on how I should just reach Chris Evans. So that kind of stuff is in there about my mom, but it's not so my mom's not great with tech. So, but I really built on that. And as far as like the dates, As in Kevin has actual dates that I'd been on, and I expanded them and made them crazier. But in this one, it has a lot more like characteristics of guys I've dated. And almost every one of the guy characters have a characteristic of a dude I've dated that, and then I made a whole character with their issue.
Wow. Gotcha. That takes a lot of, I mean, does it kind of like, I don't want to say it's not triggering necessarily, but I mean, like you're going back through dating history for both of you. Is it pain? Are you like, oh God, this would be a great story, but I don't want to relive this. Is it like, you ever get like that?
No, I think I'm pretty much like a chick without baggage, which is weird. So I'm just like, it happened. And yeah, at the time it was horrible and I wasn't enjoying it. But now I'm like, that's the best writing is about taking real life situations because you can't write this stuff.
Chick Without Baggage should be the name of a book. Yeah. I would work on that. That's a different perspective.
Or that's a good online dating profile headline. Chick Without Baggage.
Chick Without Baggage. Oh, you get so many clicks.
You swipe left or right. I don't know which way is the good way.
No. Yeah, what is I think it's swipe left. Yeah. Right?
It's the equivalent of saying like, I'm a unicorn, but the dudes don't want to believe that. They're like, oh yeah, what's your real issue?
Yeah, maybe if you came out with it, that would be like a red flag.
Yeah, right. Yeah, nobody would believe
fucking
you.
Suck. Do you guys are you guys single? What's your sitch?
I am
married, and I married my husband from after online dating.
So I was gonna say, was it online dating?
Yeah. So I'm like, I'm the unicorn. Okay.
Oh my God.
How long did that take you though? I mean, like not the marriage, but I mean like online dating is a process. It's fucking
a process. And what's interesting, it's like, just like this show, like you delete the app, you get back on the app, you make up this fake profile, you put the best photos of yourself from 10 years ago, so it's just like, it's a game everyone plays until you're really like, I'm sick of the game. I'm done with the game. And I think that's where I was done with the game and I just didn't care anymore. So I put up on my profile that, I really don't work out 5 times a week, 3 times a day. Like that's not really me. I put up what I really did and who I really am. And that's kind of how I found my husband. We went on one date. It was an all-day date. Summer knows all about it because she was still my apartment manager at the time. And I came home after going on this awesome hike.
Nice.
Going out to lunch. And, I didn't make the guy pay for me to eat. I wanted to do something with someone, do something cool, do something outdoorsy. And then I told Summer, I got a boyfriend. She's like, You've been gone for 4 hours. Like,
I went into the woods. I leaned against a tree and made a wish. And
he didn't know he was my boyfriend yet, but I was like, he's the one.
That's great.
That's how it works for a lot of us. Like, you don't know we're dating until months later.
Yeah.
You ever not know you're dating until after you've stopped seeing that person, and then you hear them retell a story later, and they're like, "Yeah, when we used to date," and you're like, "Pardon?"
Yeah.
I had the weirdest. I was in Chicago one time and I was randomly like in Chicago, right? John's heard the story a million times, but I met a girl walking to go by.
Dating.
Yeah, almost. I don't know yet, but we are. But I met a girl on the way to go get a phone and we ended up like making out on her lunch break. I walked her back to work, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It was just very random, right? Mm-mm. And how about I saw myself on, she wrote a really nasty missed connections thing on what is it? Craigslist used to have
I
misconnections.
remember those.
Yeah, and really nasty, all about me. And I'm like, I was so nice to her. I never misrepresented myself, and I live in New York. I wasn't going to be in Chicago that long. So it was that is one of my randomly weird dating. Not even
Aren't
dating,
the misconnections things supposed to be sweet and like, hey, I saw you and you were coming in the door and I was leaving and you had nice pants, like I don't know, something like sweet or whatever. And
I was reading because I met a million people, so I was seeing if anybody had something to say about me, and I stumbled on this one that she made me out to be the biggest jerk ever. Like I let her on. We knew each other for 60 minutes. Oh no, it was dead on. She said we went to go eat because this is what happened. I'll tell you that like it was super random.
Mm-hmm.
So I ended up. I'm walking down the street in Chicago, and I'm like, it was really cold. Everybody's all covered up. So I turned and I'm like, this girl was covered up everything but eyes. I'm like, hey, ninja, is the rest of you as pretty as those eyes are? We start chatting, right? So now we start talking. I'm like, I got to go get a phone. Do you want to come? She's like, I'm on my lunch break. I'm like, cool. Let's go get my phone and we'll go to lunch together. We went to lunch together, chatted. I was asking everybody what's their dream, what's the passion, and why don't they pursue it? And that's all I was doing the whole trip. I wasn't trying to hook up with anybody. We're walking back. She told me her whole love life, like misery. So we go back. I'm like, I was like, I kind of want to kiss you before you leave. We end up making out. Send her back up to work, and then it was it. I was done. Never gonna see you again. Right? Kept on my way. Nothing crazy. So then later on, like I'm in the hotel, like reading these things, this whole nasty thing about me leading her on and blah blah blah. I'm like 60 minutes. I'm like, that is thank God I didn't get involved in anything like that.
Fucking nuts. What they like it is. I find it funny, like people's perceptions of what's happening and what's not happening and how it actually goes down. It's crazy.
It's crazy. I would love to hear like some of your guys' randomly weird experience. Some people are writing in the chat. I'm going to bring up some of this stuff, but they're saying they can't online date. They've seen too much catfish, right? Yep, I've watched too much catfish. I think. Oh
yeah,
I've watched too much NCIS. Period.
Catfishing is fucking nuts, man. It is like one of those things that like it definitely happens the more you're online. Like it's happened like to a couple friends of mine. It's happened to me at one point.
Have you've encountered that?
Yeah, I've encountered that because people just, they DM you and you message them or whatever, and you message back, and then you start to like I'm really one of those skeptical people who am very much like, who the fuck am I talking? You know what I mean? Where you're like, I don't trust fucking anybody.
Well, that's just the beauty of like dating during the pandemic. It was like, well, we're really not going to ever go on this date. So turn on your Zoom if you really want to get to know me. So it's kind of like real time. And so that's why it's like, this was really cool to like film this back then and watch it now, because still now to this day, Zoom is the new way of doing things. Like you can have a coffee and have a date over Zoom and you just cut to the chase and you can hang up when you're done.
I was doing that way before pandemic though. I mean, I had a couple long distance relationships, and one of my longest ones, I was dating a girl who was going to law school in Chicago, and we Skyped a lot. Mm-hmm. And then to the point where like it feels like you have more of a relationship with that silver fucking MacBook that you're like, oh, I'm home and here's my MacBook, and like on my where you like flip the screen up, and it gets really annoying.
Yeah. So I mean, dating during the pandemic was definitely hard. And I think for like Mackenzie's character, you want to move on to like what's next, but we didn't have a vaccine when we were filming this. So it's kind of like, where do you move next, or does that person move into your pod? Remember when we were talking in pod days? Mm-hmm. So it's just kind of like it's interesting the different ways you can date.
That's a big step. I feel like hanging out in real life when that was going on, it was a big step. Like I'd have to really trust you.
Yeah, there's so many people that abandoned that immediately, which I kind of find funny too, where they were like, as soon as you could go back out, they were like, oh no, did you think we were going to meet in person? Because that's not fucking happening. This is screen protection shit only. Like that's all I'm doing. Like we snapped for a little bit. I've seen you naked, and we're done. That's it. That's it. I know you don't know how to type or spell. That's alarming to me, but it seemed like you could send a photo. So
love it.
Yeah, you're one of those grammar police, huh?
Yeah, because a lot of the dudes can't spell, man. It's like, why do you not know how to spell there? Like,
run into a few ladies who also can't spell, but that's true. You're absolutely right.
I haven't seen the ladies, but it's like, oh my gosh, it drives me nuts. And like,
it is annoying because it's the simplest thing you could possibly fucking do. You know what I mean? Like especially it's not like you're having in-depth fucking conversation on these apps,
right?
Or anything like that
when you're just typing like the there and the there, it like happens.
No, this is on the profile. Use Grammarly.
I was gonna say on the profile, yeah.
Okay. I haven't been doing this in a while.
Everybody understands when you're typing in real time. You're usually doing it with one hand. It's complicated. But like, there's nobody caught the masturbation.
I got it.
I know. I'm just saying, a little fucking toss me something there. Be like, yes, we know what you're talking about. Don't make me feel like a weirdo. But like, it is like, what did you guys have an app of choice that you kind of like molded this series out of?
Tinder.
It was just Tinder, yeah.
Yeah,
I mean, I felt like a little Hinge vibe in there too, but maybe not.
I haven't ever done Hinge.
Oh, okay. It's not great, but it's classier than Tinder. Is it really?
But Tinder's like the number one, and Tinder's the one that did that profile, swipe left or right. That really made it the thing. And so it was. We did another app called a couple walks into a bar. That's the name of the app. And then in As and Kevin, I had a different app but it was all based on Tinder stuff.
Do you prefer the one?
Didn't give us the rights to the app, so we had to create our own.
Wow.
So we had to make up our own funny name, and so it was really fun to like include that and figure out what the app was going to be called. And we couldn't use the word Zoom, so we called that rendezvous time. So they could rendezvous with each other.
That's a great name for a social app, though. You guys are crushing it.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What's the one where the woman has to respond first? What's the app? Do you guys?
Bumble.
Yeah. How do you guys feel about that?
I'm so anti that. Like, I'm like, the guys have gotten lazier and lazier over the years. So the women are like full on now doing everything, paying. Now we have to ask them out. I just talked to a dude last night at this event and he was like, I love Bumble. I was like, why? Because the girl has to make the effort. And he's like, yeah, we don't have to do anything. We just sit back. And I'm like, yeah. That's what it feels like in life. So I'm.
You know what? It wouldn't be so bad. I feel like if I have a core group of guy friends, and my life has always been like I'm just friends with a lot of women. And I gotta say, it's a double-edged sword, right? Because it's fun. Because when you do like the friends with benefits thing, it's always fun. But then the other side is I get to hear what they bitch about, and you guys are merciless when it comes to I swear to God, I know what you guys do. Like, I have friends who've been on those dating apps, so they'll talk to me about it too, and they'll just be like, "Oh my God, like, can you believe that this is the first thing the guy said to me on the app? Like, that's not even clever." And it's like he doesn't know, like, he's going off of whatever you put in your profile, which is usually next to nothing to go off of. And it's like the guy. So I don't mind that the woman has to say something first because it really, I feel like a lot of women are really just picky about what the guy has to say. He's got to be funny and it's got to be clever and it's got to be flirty, but not too flirty. And it's like, okay, you know what? Just fucking you do it. Like you're like, I get it.
I've never been on an online date. Like I've never done it. I've never had any of those experiences. I'm better in person. I feel like I was always good like that. And now I'm married, so it's over. But I hear from my friends, like I have this one friend that he'll tell me how brutal it could be. Yeah. And I laugh. Like I don't want to laugh, but he's not that tall, right? And he's older. So one girl wrote back, she was like, sorry, your height is bop, bop, bop. Wrote him off. And I'm like, holy shit. I'm like, that is very superficial for them.
It's all transactional.
It is. It's very transactional, but there's no real, like, there's no give or take.
Right. Totally. Yeah. Which is, it's not fun. It's not. Do you, so you were saying you're single. Do you still do you prefer meeting people in person or did you get the hang of the app?
You're talking to me?
Yeah.
Oh, because I'm the only single one besides you.
Yeah. No, you and John.
Yeah, I'm single too. Yeah.
So wait, what was the question? You asked me what? I know it was for me.
This is why guys do not like to ask questions first. I'm just kidding. What I asked, do you still prefer meeting in person, or have you gotten a hang of the app where you're totally comfortable with it?
Oh no, I don't. Like, I really have a hard time with online dating because I think a pretty nice person, and I am empathetic, and I don't think people should treat people like jerks, like trade people like commodities. Like, I really think it needs to be like, I miss the days of us spending the time in a bar and a guy working really hard to get your number. And then when you go out, it's like, you're very excited about it and you forgive some of the stuff. Maybe they chew loud or something like that. But now it's like, oh, I don't like you. I'm on to the next guy, or vice versa. So I don't really do well with online dating. I get really disturbed with the they say hi, and then I write hello back, and then I hear nothing, and I'm like, should I have said something? What did I say wrong? And then it just, I don't do well with it. So I don't really do the online dating stuff anymore.
It is very like, what in the fuck? Because sometimes you're like, all right, give me a review at least, for the holy love of Christ. You know what I mean? Like, he's like, did somebody say he just has to smell good? That was,
I thought that was a good comment. You can't get that online dating.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. Not yet, anyway. But people do treat other people nowadays like a busted Keurig, where they're like, oh, you know, they stopped working right. I better take them back, or can I return this thing? And you're like, fuck, that is brutal.
And it's really nice for like the married folk. I've had a lot of people in my family that would grab my Tinder app and like swipe for me. And they love to see, because in their eyes, it's like, oh, the grass is so much greener, and I'm going to get on there and I'm going to find Chris Hemsworth and like, you know, Josh Hart, and everybody, all the dudes are going to be on there, and it's going to be amazing. And then like did it with my mom, who's in Central California. There were dudes with shotguns, a dude wearing a fuzzy teddy bear outfit. And she's like, what is this? Like, I'm like, right, Mom, it's not like, you know.
If that was me, those are all the people I want to meet. Those are very unique individuals.
Those are
right.
Yeah. Yeah. They're like, it's that's how they get you with those apps too. You download it once, and the first 20 people are like super fucking hot and people you'd want to talk to, and then the next 1,250 are just ghouls, and you're like, what the fuck happened? I was crushing it. It was all good people, like, and the first 2 dozen were great, and then you're like,
algorithm knows.
Yeah. That happens at the gym too. When I go check out a gym, I'm like, there's all these hot people, and then I join and I'm like, where'd they go?
Yeah. And you show up at 2 p.m. in the afternoon, and it's like grandma and grandpa like carrying 1 5-pound weight to each other. It's awful. Yeah, it's really it's not great. I can't wait till we can just fuck robots and end it. I'm just kidding.
That's here, terrible. But they're expensive, John.
No, they're not that great. You don't want to get the first robot to fuck. You want to wait till it's like you don't want to get the first iPhone.
You know what? There's a whole community of that. We're gonna have somebody on from that community. We're gonna get a sponsor, and I'm getting you one of these things.
We should get a guy who fucks a robot, a furry, and like whatever else is out there.
You know what? I bet you furry people have a much easier time, because it's a very there's got to be a unifying dating area.
Yeah,
right?
If you both want to be animals and not shower, that's got to be killer.
Who says
where is this going?
I don't know. I have no idea. Tom and I got off on a tangent for no apparent reason, and
summer in Ireland.
I insulted furries, and
I know we just lost half of our viewership. Just dropped.
I just wanted to shake some of them off.
After all that hair and beard growing, you're gonna insult furries. I don't get it.
We're just getting more and more content for the next episode.
There you go. That's fine by me. I'll make a guest appearance. It'll be fun.
Oh, yeah.
I would love to hear from our from the crowd too, with our audience. Let us know some of your craziest dating things, because I'd love to bring them up in it as well.
So I have a question about the other cast members and stuff like that too. Do you draw from how much of the writing is like from your own personal experience, and how much do people collaborate? Like, are you doing it in the middle of it? Are you like, okay, we're going to shoot this. Here's the scripts. Here's what's going on. And then people are like, oh, you know what? I had this experience. Can we toss that in there? Or is it just sticking to it?
We didn't really have that. I mean, we really wanted actors to be able to improv so that we could add more comedy. Like Eric Roberts is in it, and his episode's coming out tonight, and he does this whole thing about, he's a pilot, and he does this whole thing about a drunk man in first class, and how the guy's like rowdy, and they have to put a seatbelt over his head, and it's hysterical. So like there's stuff like that. But as far as the date, it had to be for me to write it, for us to be pretty much, most of them we're sitting in front of a webcam or whatever. There's only a couple that move around. So to keep it interesting, the dates had to be really lively, because you don't want to just sit there and watch talking heads like,
Yeah.
But they had to be pretty orchestrated as to what happens for this train to drive. Like, otherwise we're like, it's not like, well, let me just add in here that I went out with this guy that slammed the door in my face. Let me go do that. We couldn't like do that, but there was a lot of improv. I mean, that was
what was the biggest challenge you faced, do you think, during this whole thing, like trying to get it together? Was it just the distance and not having everybody at the same time?
Well, it's kind of interesting, because it's like how do you film this remotely, right?
Yeah.
So we took weeks literally trying to figure out what are we going to do? How are we going to do this? Because this was all about sanitizing the equipment and like following regulations and dealing with the unions. So, you know, everyone got a kit of this. Was all filmed on iPhones. We had iPads. We dropped off lights. We dropped off microphones. We dropped off the whole kit to them to their door. And they had to bring it in, hop on Zoom, and our crew had to walk them through how to set up their set.
Wow.
And so it's not like a regular production where you just show up to set, get your makeup done, put on your wardrobe, and boom, it's a thing. We literally had to say, all right, mic check, quiet on set. This is all through Zoom. You know, I'm in Budapest, Hungary, working overnight while people are all over LA. We had some people.
That's a great place to be, by the way, but go ahead.
Yeah, it was pretty epic for the pandemic. But then it got lonely and bored in our families in America. So we're back. But you know, those were some of the challenges, was like teaching them. We had to find amazing actors who were willing to like also put in the work, because crew, you know, hats off to our crew. They put in long hours with us, but they had to literally do their skill by teaching them through Zoom. And that's like,
it's tough.
It's kind of hard to teach people how to do your job, right?
Sure.
Yeah.
And so that was kind of like the hardest part of it. But once we got rolling, we were like, and go and action and cut. And then, you know, then it was like all over. And we were like, we just figured out how to do the coolest thing ever. Like,
yeah.
You know, and now our 9 episodes are done. And so it was one of the coolest productions I've ever done for sure.
Do you think figuring it out at this point and getting so good at it you would want to do more things like this, as opposed to go? I mean, I'm sure it's exciting to go back out into public and, you know, and kind of being able to see people in person, but you've developed this other skill. Do you feel like now
it's another skill that we'll probably never use again?
Oh, no. I love the idea of opening those doors. You know what I mean? Like, that's like, you know, because now, like, what if there is somebody in Budapest, Hungary that you want to involve in a shoot? Can't get him out there. You now know how to hook that up, right?
I know how to do it, but then it's also like we all just want to touch and feel and be around each other and collaborate. So it's
that'll get you sued. Yeah. Just giving you a heads up. You may have forgotten something.
Projects have to be like so specific. Like, it was very hard to come up with the concept that's gripping enough that we don't have an unlimited budget that we can light every single room of the house. And, you know, the actor, I mean, it's a lot of work as an actor to have to do all of this stuff, then hop in and be your character and hop back out and do that. And you're in and out, in and out. I don't know how a method actor would even be able to do that, but I think it would be a very cool thing, but it was a very much of a challenge of coming up with an idea that we could do that with. And so I'm sure there's some stuff you could come up with, but for the most part, I mean, I've heard people, most of the episodes are between 5 to 8 minutes. And I've heard people like, it's not long enough. And I'm like, if we were sitting there for a lot longer, you'd be like, oh my gosh, you know, we're watching a Zoom call. It's like, ugh, I'm on a webinar, gross, you know?
Yeah.
Do you have I mean, like, how hard was it to get like the funding for this kind of stuff? Because you said you got kits for everybody, but everybody was obviously struggling through the pandemic. Was it hard to convince people to back you when people didn't know what the world was going, like what was going on in the world, what was going on? And you guys were like, hey, we're gonna make a thing, and they were like, I haven't seen my kids. Like, how did you kind of swing that? You know, I mean, it's got to be hard.
Yeah, well, I think it's hard, but it was all part of the person that pitched this idea was willing to fund it. So it was like, hey, do you want to write this kind of thing? And we'll do this kind of thing. So, and
we're so frugal in our ways of how we can do a production. We're like, it'll work this way with just one phone. And then we was like, you know, technical difficulties happen. And then it's like, we need 2 phones. They need audio. They have to have, like, as you start going, that budget just kind of goes and goes and goes.
Yeah, because originally I wrote it so we were just using webcams, and we were actually just going to film Zoom. And then we realized Zoom's quality is not near, you know, there's a delay and there's all this stuff. So we had to like keep reinventing, like keep learning new tech to how can we do this so it still looks like a really good production, but it doesn't look like we just recorded a Zoom call.
Yeah,
because I am not into ghetto productions, and that's like my biggest thing. Like, we got to make this look good. It's got to sound good. Our actors have to be good. Like, we've got to take this to the next level. I'm all about leveling up. So, it definitely, like, we got there. I
wish you could have seen the production of this show when it first started. We had a fake.
Oh, it was great.
Oh, it was really bad. It was great.
That's where you start, right? And then you realize, maybe I should get a mic. Maybe
yes,
a mic. Maybe I should get a grand piano.
You're like, actually, all our budget went to that piano.
Yeah.
It was like, it was a disaster. We had like a weird background and shit, and then we slowly got rid of crap as it went along. We had like a guy like with we had a cartoon Cthulhu up on the screen, and then we couldn't animate
his original co-host was a Cthulhu, right? Which is like this weird alien type of creature. But all right. So now originally, so it was super weird. But I was like, what'll be funny, because we don't have any budget. Let's just cut out his mouth and green screen it to be this cartoon thing with a guy's mouth moving. I thought it could get legs, but I feel like our original co-host was I was strictly production, like in the background, running all the background stuff. And he was just very curmudgeonly, but like it was funny.
Yeah, he wasn't into it. And then
he wasn't into it.
He would also just randomly leave. So then it would just be the cutout there, and I would be like, right? And then he wouldn't be there anymore, and I would be like,
oh my god.
He
was the guy that stood up and did his pants in the middle of it, wasn't he?
No, that wasn't that guy. That wasn't him. But
that guy was very famous.
I would have liked it if he'd done that. I would have been like, at least it's something. Holy shit. Are you guys so now that you did the episodes and stuff, and there's another one airing tonight with Eric Roberts, right?
That's a great one. Where do you see that tonight?
Thank you. We have 2 of them tonight. Did you say where do you see it?
Yeah, where can our listeners go to see it?
Pandemicpillowtalk.com, and then we launched the 2 episodes, and then next week there'll be another 2 until we're done with the episodes at the end of May. So every Wednesday at 7, and then they're just up. So
sweet.
Yeah, they're all on YouTube, so you can like set a reminder, because are you going to remember next week to watch us?
Right.
Are you? So set a reminder so you can get notifications. They're really short episodes. We really just want people just to tune in, view, watch, subscribe, all that good stuff.
Oh, thank you.
Very cool.
Because we need the comments, we need the feedback, because we did work really hard on this. So.
Yeah. Are you guys are you the type to move on to the next thing right away? Like, or are you now like that these are kind of done? Are you kind of looking to shop it around a little bit more, expand it, make it bigger? Like, what's your creative process like?
Well, I mean, we really do need views, and we need, that kind of, if you can get attention to a series, then it's easier to, I do have this grand idea that I want to do another spinoff of this series, so that now Mackenzie goes back out in the real world. But then we have a budget with a streamer or a studio, and I've already got the pilot written, and then I've got some other, what the scope would be of how we would do the trajectory of it. But a limited series, like 30-minute series, kind of like Fleabag, where there's a couple seasons of it, if you will. And it's kind of like a cross between Fleabag and Sex and the City ish. So it'd be really fun to do that. But we'd like a real budget, so that we're being able to like get, really good sets and things like that. And
nice.
If you know someone at a streaming platform that's looking for something like this, we're your girls.
All right. We will keep it in mind. And you heard everybody out there can also fucking chime in. If you know anybody at a streaming platform, let them know.
Thank you.
I got to ask you guys, the big 3 individually. We ask every guest these questions at the end. So you can take turns. You could divvy it up. Whoever wants to ask what first. There we go.
Thank you.
So who wants to go first?
Star.
What are the questions?
Star does.
Okay, here's the questions.
Yep.
First question is, if you could go back in time and talk to your younger self, what piece of advice would you give yourself that would help you today?
Oh gosh, I hate things like this. This is like trivia.
Oh, yeah, it's gonna get worse.
Summer, go.
Thank you. I would tell myself to not only count on acting as a living, to also get into producing and writing at a younger age, and use my college connections that I had, more internships and things that I could have done to be able to get in the industry that route, instead of just counting on me being a famous actress that's going to get discovered, and I'll have my whole career over that.
Nice.
I know that's not funny, but
no, it doesn't have it doesn't have to be funny at all. And now it's your turn. You're up.
Now I have to say something.
Yeah,
I thought it was just like someone said something.
no.
Everybody, Star. Everybody.
Yeah. Okay, let's see. So I would tell my younger self to
pretend this is a dating profile.
For dating profiles, I would have told myself, no, I liked what I did. I liked playing the field. I liked having fun. I liked the hookup rounds. And then when I was ready to move into that next chapter, I hated the part where I was ready to move on and I didn't realize I needed to be my true authentic self until later. So that's what I would have told myself. When you're ready to move on to be your true authentic self, do that.
Sweet. Okay, second question is, what had to end in your life, good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
Oh, you guys aren't. I thought we were all answering. It's just the
no.
Okay.
No, nobody gives a shit about us.
I was like, what are you guys gonna say to that? Like,
no, we asked these. No, nobody gives a shit about us. It's all about you guys.
Oh my god! What would happen? Again.
What had to end in your life, good or bad, that led you to where you are today?
Sorry, you go.
What would have to end in my life?
No. What had to end in your life? Good or bad, that led you to where you are today. But that is a different variation. You're like, I would have to murder the life of a loved one would have to end in order for me to have a grand piano for real.
End in my that's a hard what
had to end?
What had to
end for you to get to where you are
where we are now?
Yes.
Yeah. Like Star had to have that breakup to meet you to do this. Yeah.
Okay, got it. I had to end being an apartment manager. That was pretty easy.
There you go. Yeah.
Let's see. I had to end that breakup with my ex-boyfriend to meet Summer.
There you go.
There you go.
It's still what you said.
Great.
So not good at this.
And then no, it's fine. We're gonna dub somebody over you guys.
Okay,
I'm kidding. What? And so the last question is tied into the show. If this was a genuine dystopia with aliens, zombies, a comet heading toward Earth, climate change, everything's on fire. It's the last day on Earth for everybody. What would be your epic death? How would you want to go out?
Your epic death? Did you say? Oh my god!
I said death. It's everybody's last day on Earth. How do you want to go out?
I would totally be like eating my favorite meal, like getting it all in, and then like it has to be quick. I don't need to know that it's coming, but it could be like asteroid.
All right.
What would that meal be?
Let's see. It would be like a little bit of sushi, a little bit of chocolate chip cookies, a little bit.
That's a good combo. Not even fucking kidding. Sushi and chocolate chip cookies, like back to back.
It sounds like high food is what it sounds like, dude.
Those are the soft kind, aren't they? The chewy? Are they the chewy chips?
Chewy.
Oh my god.
That's my fucking jam. That's the
It could have only been better if she would have held up like a shrimp tempura roll with the other hand.
I know, right? She raises it up.
I'd be like, oh shit, a comet's coming.
I'm gonna send this to Chewy Chips Ahoy and see if we can get them as a sponsor.
There you go. That's a nice bite. 8 months pregnant and you're like having Chips Ahoy at your desk. It's ridiculous.
Dude, if I'm 8 months pregnant, I'm not just advertising for Chewy Chips Ahoy anymore. I'm going big. What about you? What do you got?
Oh, mine's not gonna be funny because I'm being honest. If you want me to say something funny, then
because I'm honest.
In all honesty, I would be meditating and trying to help as many people as I can on my last day.
Oh, that's very sweet.
Very Buddhist.
But how are you going to go out?
That's it. I'm going to die meditating.
Oh, you're going to die. So you're going to help a bunch of people and then meditate about how you helped a bunch of people.
All day.
Kablamo.
Because I'm going to try, because I believe I'm going somewhere else. So I got to be in a good place for me to die. But if it's a one hit wonder, then I'd probably run around and
How are people dying though? Is it an asteroid or is it zombie apocalypse? Like what do you think?
Is it aliens?
Oh my god. So Star and I have this whole thing about the apocalypse, and when she used to live with me, I was like, I'm going with you and your husband, because there was a surplus store on the corner and they had it all mapped out what was going to happen when the apocalypse happened.
Oh yeah.
Now that she's left, I don't have that.
We don't have a plan, but we had a plan. It was good.
But what type of apocalypse
Yeah,
was it?
I'm
Was it like
sorry.
Four
I just
Horsemen?
Zombie apocalypse for
Zombie.
sure. You're raiding the surplus store in the corner for sure. The tenants that aren't going to make it, the old people that live upstairs, the people that are annoying, you kill them first. Okay, they have to go. You raid their kitchen, right? Summer, you can be in our kit, but we're going to also need a truck and motorcycles. We had it all mapped out.
That's nice.
Creepy, but
my roommate and I used to have a pact where if any one of us came back to the apartment that day and was like, dude, I'm from the future. We got to get the fuck out of here. We don't ask questions. We just pack a bag. We trust them. Like, we couldn't joke about it. We weren't allowed to like prank each other, but it had to be, because every movie we watched, it was like, dude, something's going on. We'd be like, sure, guy, whatever you say. And then they fucking get bit by something. We would just believe whatever it is. And like,
go with the plan. I like it.
Go with the plan. That's great.
I don't know why you're thinking zombies. At this point, it's Russia, dude. Come on, like that's pretty clear.
Yeah,
we're going there. We're not going.
Might be
there.
Russian zombies.
Oh, yeah. How do you say brains in Russian? That'd be great, right? I'd love that you're still eating a cookie.
At this point, it's just like it's here.
Yeah, the only thing I have is a bag of nuts. All right, and a crossbow. A must-have.
Yes.
Well, I want to thank you guys.
Too. Love Walking Dead.
Oh, it's so good. I know.
Yes,
it's gonna be great. I want to thank you guys so much for coming on and hanging with us and stuff. And I can't wait to see the next couple episodes that are coming out. It's gonna be great.
Thank you. Thanks for tuning in and sharing and talking good about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll get you the episodes and stuff when it comes up next week. In the meantime, again, just tell people where they can find you.
pandemicpillowtalk.com. Make sure you put that reminder button, subscribe, because we want to notify you just for the next 3 to 4 weeks that our episodes are coming out. We want to hear from you. So don't forget to leave a comment.
Sweet. Great talking to you guys. Great meeting you.
Thank you guys.
Right, bye, guys.
Take care.
Dystopia tonight.